Ladies, let's be real. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not every man, not every friend, not even every family member. High-value women, we're a different breed. We don't chase, we attract. We don't settle, we rise. And today, I'm about to give you the 5 rules that will turn you into a woman so untouchable, so magnetic that the world won't know whether to admire you or fear losing you. Your energy is your most valuable asset. It's the essence of who you are. It's what makes you walk into a room and either light it up or drain it completely. A high-value woman doesn't waste her energy on things, people, or situations that don't serve her growth. She understands that her energy is exclusive and not everyone deserves access to it. Think about it. When you buy an expensive perfume, do you spray it on just anyone who walks by? No, you save it for yourself, for moments that matter. Your energy is the same. If you keep handing it out to people who don't appreciate it, don't respect it, or don't value it, you will run empty. Let's talk about relationships. Have you ever met someone who constantly drains you? Someone who takes your kindness, your love, your time, but gives back nothing? It could be a friend who only calls when they need something, a partner who takes you for granted, a co-worker who always dumps their problems on you but never asks how you're doing. These people are energy vampires, and a high-value woman does not entertain them. The moment you start protecting your energy, you'll notice something magical. You'll start feeling lighter, happier, more powerful. Because now, you're no longer wasting time convincing people to see your worth. You are only giving your presence to those who deserve it. Imagine this. There's a queen sitting on her throne. She doesn't step down to argue with fools. She doesn't run around proving her power. She just sits there in her glory and people respect her. That's exactly how your energy should be. Royal, exclusive, powerful. But let's take it deeper. Your energy isn't just about people. It's also about the things you focus on. Think of your energy like money. If you spend all your money on useless things, you'll have nothing left for what truly matters. The same goes for your energy. If you waste it on negativity, on overthinking, on things that drain you, you will have nothing left for your goals, your dreams, your happiness. Here's an example. You wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is check your phone. You see a message from someone who upset you last night. You see people on social media posting things that make you feel less than. You read bad news, gossip, drama. By the time you even get out of bed, your energy is already drained. And then you wonder why you feel exhausted all day. But let's flip this. Imagine you wake up and instead of checking your phone, you take a deep breath. You stretch. You play your favorite song. You remind yourself, I am powerful. I am unstoppable. I am a high-value woman, and today is mine. Do you see the difference? One drains your energy before the day even starts. The other protects it, nurtures it, fuels it. Another daily example? Ever tried arguing with a fool? Someone who refuses to understand you no matter what you say? You pour out your heart, your thoughts, your emotions, and all they do is twist your words, mock you, make you feel small. That's wasted energy. A high-value woman doesn't explain herself to those committed to misunderstanding her. Instead, she lets her actions speak. She walks away with grace. And that silence speaks louder than any argument ever could. Protecting your energy also means setting boundaries. Some people will call you selfish for this, but let me tell you something. You are not selfish. You are selective. And there's a big difference. You are no longer saying yes to things that drain you just to please others. You are no longer forcing yourself into spaces that don't feel right. You are no longer entertaining people who do not uplift you. Look at the most successful, powerful women in the world. Do they spend their time explaining their choices? No. Do they let toxic people drain them? No. Do they waste energy on things that don't contribute to their greatness? Absolutely not. A high-value woman is intentional with her energy. She gives it to people who uplift her, not bring her down. She spends it on her passions, not distractions. She guards it like gold, because that's exactly what it is. And here's the truth. When you protect your energy, you become rare. People start to notice that you don't waste your time on drama. They see that you don't chase, you attract. They realize that your presence is a privilege, not a right. So ask yourself, where is your energy going? Who are you giving it to? Is it making you stronger or is it making you exhausted? Because the moment you decide to protect your energy, everything changes. You become unstoppable. You become the kind of woman that no one can reach unless you allow them to. Confidence is not about having the perfect body, the most expensive clothes, or the approval of others. Confidence is about owning who you are, walking like you belong, and speaking like you mean it. It's the one thing that can't be bought, borrowed, or faked for long. It is the single most attractive quality a woman can possess because it doesn't come from what's around her, it comes from within her. Imagine walking into a room where you know no one. Most people would shrink, feel awkward, start checking their phone just to avoid eye contact. But a confident woman, she walks in, shoulders back, chin up, as if the entire room was waiting for her arrival. She doesn't rush to find a familiar face. She doesn't look down at her feet. She lets the world adjust to her presence because she understands one thing. The way you carry yourself is the way the world will treat you. Think about this. Have you ever noticed how people treat someone in a luxury car versus someone in an old, broken down vehicle? The driver is still the same person, but the perception of value changes instantly. That's exactly how confidence works. Your presence is your luxury car. The way you present yourself, the way you talk, the way you take up space, it all signals to the world whether you are a woman of high value or someone unsure of her worth. But let's take it deeper. Confidence isn't just about standing tall or speaking boldly. It's about what you believe about yourself when no one is watching. A woman who truly wears confidence, like an outfit, doesn't just fake it in public. She lives it. She knows that confidence is built in the quiet moments. It's built when you stand in front of the mirror and love what you see. It's built when you make a decision and trust yourself enough not to second guess it. It's built when you walk away from people who don't see your worth without explaining why. Have you ever met someone who wasn't conventionally attractive but had a magnetic energy that made everyone pay attention? That's the power of confidence. It makes people see you differently. It makes them wonder, what does she know about herself that I don't? It draws people in, not because of how you look, but because of how you carry yourself. Think about your daily life. Imagine you're in a meeting and you have an idea. A woman without confidence will hesitate. What if I sound stupid? What if they ignore me? But a high-value woman, she speaks up. Even if her voice shakes, even if her heart pounds, she speaks with conviction. And do you know what happens? People listen. Because confidence makes people stop and pay attention. Or picture this. You're out at a restaurant and the waiter brings you the wrong order. A woman lacking confidence might stay quiet, afraid of being seen as difficult. But a woman who wears confidence daily, she speaks up with grace and certainty because she knows her voice matters. Confidence is also about what you allow in your life. A woman who values herself will not chase after people who treat her like an option. She doesn't beg for love. She doesn't tolerate disrespect. She doesn't lower her standards just to be accepted. Because she understands that whatever she settles for, she will receive more of. Imagine a woman in a relationship where she is being taken for granted. A woman without confidence will try harder, give more, hope that one day she will be appreciated. But a high-value woman, she walks away with her head held high. She knows that she is the prize, not the competition. She doesn't need to convince anyone to choose her because her presence alone is already a privilege. But let's be honest, confidence isn't always easy. There will be moments when you doubt yourself, when life knocks you down, when people try to dim your light. In those moments, you must remember, confidence is not about never failing. It's about how quickly you get back up. Every time you bounce back from rejection, from heartbreak, from failure, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than any setback. Look at the most powerful women in history. Were they always the smartest, the richest, the most beautiful? No. But they all had one thing in common. They believed in themselves, even when no one else did. They backed themselves up. They walked like they belonged in every room they stepped into, even if the world told them otherwise. And the best part? Confidence is something you can train. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Start with the small things. Walk a little taller. Speak a little louder. Stop apologizing for existing. Tell yourself every morning, I am enough. I am powerful. I deserve every good thing coming my way. And watch how the world starts treating you differently. Confidence is the one outfit that never goes out of style. And when you wear it daily, you become a woman that no one can ignore. A woman who knows her worth, never chases, never begs, and never pleads for attention. Because she understands one simple truth. She is the prize. She doesn't need to remind people to notice her. She doesn't have to fight for a place in someone's life. She is a presence that demands recognition. Not through desperation, but through undeniable self-respect. Think about a diamond. Does a diamond beg to be picked? No. It sits in its display, untouched, untarnished, and proud of its own value. It doesn't lower its price when someone can't afford it. It doesn't cry for attention when people walk past it. Because the diamond knows those who recognize its worth will come for it. And those who don't, they were never meant to have it. That is exactly how a high-value woman moves through life. Imagine this. You text someone and they don't reply. The old version of you might have double texted, overthought, analyzed every little thing. Did I say something wrong? Are they ignoring me? Should I send another message? But the high-value version of you, she doesn't chase. She doesn't wait by the phone. She doesn't sit around hoping for attention. Instead, she shifts her focus on herself, her goals, her peace. Because she knows one thing. The right people never leave you wondering where you stand. Picture a woman at a party. Some people walk in, desperate to be noticed, laughing louder, speaking over others, trying too hard to impress. But then, there's her. The woman who stands with quiet confidence, observing, sipping her drink, engaging when she chooses to. And yet everyone notices her. Why? Because mystery is magnetic. When you stop seeking attention, attention finds you. Look at the women who inspire you. Are they constantly seeking validation? Are they begging for love? No, they are focused on their purpose, their passion, their growth. And in doing so, they naturally draw admiration. A woman who doesn't beg for attention is like the moon. She doesn't chase the stars, yet they still revolve around her. And let's talk about relationships. A high-value woman doesn't force connections. If someone wants to leave, she holds the door open. If someone stops trying, she lets them. Because she knows that love, attention, and respect should never have to be begged for. A man who truly values her won't need reminders to cherish her. A friend who truly cares won't need to be chased. Think of it this way. Have you ever seen a queen run after her subjects, asking them to stay? No. The throne remains where it is, and those who are worthy will kneel before it. That's how a high-value woman treats herself. She doesn't lower her standards just to be chosen. She understands that if she has to beg for it, it's not real. There is a power in being comfortable with silence, in not reacting, in not proving yourself. When someone pulls away, instead of running after them, watch what happens when you do nothing. Most of the time they come back, because your absence feels more powerful than their presence. And even if they don't come back, even better. It's just proof that they were never meant for you in the first place. A high-value woman doesn't lose sleep over people who don't see her worth. She knows that the universe will never take away something real and replace it with something lesser. Think about social media. People post selfies, status updates, constantly seeking likes and validation. But have you ever noticed the ones who don't need to post every moment of their lives? The ones who remain a little mysterious? They are the ones who hold the most power. Because when you stop begging for attention, the world starts wondering about you. In your daily life, practice this power. If someone doesn't match your energy, pull back. If someone disrespects you, walk away. If someone isn't giving you the love, time, or respect you deserve, Replace them with silence and watch how the world shifts in your favor. When you embrace your worth, when you stop running after people, you will see something magical happen. They start chasing you. Because a woman who knows she is the prize becomes unforgettable. A woman who is too available, too predictable, too easy to reach, soon becomes an afterthought. But a woman who holds mystery in her aura, she is unforgettable. She walks into a room and people want to know more. She speaks and people lean in, hungry for every word. She exists and yet there is something about her that no one can quite figure out. That is power. That is respect. That is what separates a high-value woman from the rest. Look around. The people who have the most influence, the ones who are truly admired, do not overexpose themselves. They don't share every thought, every move, every emotion. Why? Because when something is rare, it is valued. When something is scarce, it is desired. When access is limited, respect increases. Think about luxury brands. They don't go on sale. They don't try to be for everyone. They remain exclusive, and because of that, people crave them more. Now apply that to yourself. When you make yourself too accessible, too available, too common, you lose your power. But when you become a little unpredictable, a little harder to reach, a little mysterious, suddenly you become the most intriguing person in the room. Imagine a woman who always responds instantly, always says yes, always shares every detail of her life. People stop appreciating her presence. She becomes ordinary. But now, picture a woman who takes her time, who doesn't reply to every message immediately, who doesn't say yes to every invitation, who leaves something unsaid, unrevealed, unknown. That woman, she is unforgettable. Because people respect what they cannot fully have. Mystery isn't about playing games, it's about protecting your essence. It's about recognizing that not everyone deserves full access to you. In friendships, in relationships, in life, you do not owe the world your every thought, your every move, your every secret. The more you keep to yourself, the more power you hold. Think of a movie trailer. It doesn't reveal the whole story. It gives you just enough to make you want more. It keeps you guessing, keeps you intrigued. That's what a high-value woman does. She doesn't over-explain. She doesn't overgive. She doesn't let just anyone see the depths of her soul. She reveals what she chooses, when she chooses. And in doing so, she becomes magnetic. There is something intoxicating about a woman who doesn't explain herself, who moves in silence, who lets people wonder, who keeps her next move unknown. Because the moment you become too predictable, you lose your edge. The moment you overshare, you weaken your presence. The moment people feel like they have figured you out, you become ordinary. Have you ever met someone who tells you their whole life story within minutes of meeting them? It feels overwhelming. There is no mystery, nothing left to uncover. But then there's the person who gives you just enough to make you curious, who shares a glimpse but not the full picture, who makes you want to know more. That person, they command attention without ever begging for it. Silence is a weapon. Not every action needs to be announced. Not every feeling needs to be explained. Not every thought needs to be shared. When you master the art of strategic silence, you become a force. Because people fear what they don't know. They respect what they can't fully access. Think of a queen. She doesn't announce every decision. She doesn't explain her every move. She speaks when necessary. And when she does, people listen. That is the energy of a high-value woman. She is not loud for the sake of being loud. She is not seen for the sake of being seen. She is felt. She is wondered about. She is respected. Your time is precious. Your energy is sacred. Your presence is a privilege. And when you stop giving yourself away so easily, when you master the art of mystery, the world will start to see you differently. They will crave your presence, respect your absence, and never take you for granted again. A woman who builds her own empire walks differently. She enters a room and you feel her presence before she even speaks. She doesn't need to announce her power. It radiates from her. She doesn't seek validation because she validates herself. She doesn't wait for someone to give her a seat at the table. She builds the entire kingdom herself. There is something magnetic about a woman who is self-sufficient. A woman who doesn't need anyone to survive, who doesn't cling to a man for financial security, emotional stability, or social status. She is her own backbone, she is her own provider, she is her own greatest investment. And that makes her unshakable. Look around. How many women have been left broken because they gave everything to a man who never valued them? How many women have sacrificed their dreams, their ambitions, their potential, only to be abandoned when they needed support the most? Dependency is a dangerous trap. The moment you rely on someone else to sustain your life, you put your fate in their hands. And that is the easiest way to lose yourself. A woman who builds her own empire cannot be controlled. She cannot be manipulated. She cannot be treated as an option because she is the prize. She does not wait for someone to take care of her because she takes care of herself. She does not fear being alone because she has built a life so fulfilling that she is never truly lonely. Imagine a woman who has her own money, her own investments, her own business. She never has to ask for anything because she can provide it for herself. She never has to beg for attention because her success already commands respect. She never has to stay in toxic situations out of financial fear because she has the power to walk away without hesitation. A high-value woman doesn't look for a man to complete her because she is already whole. If she chooses a partner, it's not out of need, but out of desire. She wants a teammate, not a savior. She wants a love that adds to her life, not one that defines it. And because she is secure in herself, she will never tolerate less than she deserves. Think of the most powerful women in history. Were they waiting for a man to rescue them? No, they created their own paths. They led their own empires. They built their own legacies. Because real queens don't wait to be crowned. They crown themselves. A woman who has her own doesn't have to stay where she is not valued. She doesn't have to tolerate disrespect. She doesn't have to settle for a life that doesn't fulfill her. When you have your own empire, you have choices. You have freedom. You have the ability to say, I deserve better and I will not accept less. People often say, a rich man can change a poor woman's life. But let's flip that. A wealthy, independent woman changes her own life. And that is far more powerful. That is the kind of strength that cannot be taken away. There is no greater feeling than looking at your life and knowing you built it. That every dollar in your account, every achievement, every success, you earned it. No one can hold it over you. No one can take it from you because it is yours. Women who rely on men often live in silent fear. Fear of being left, fear of losing financial security, fear of having to start over. But a woman who builds her own empire has no such fear. She knows that no matter what happens, she will be okay. She doesn't sit around waiting for love, waiting for someone to fund her dreams, waiting for a man to show her her worth. She wakes up every day and builds. She grinds. She learns. She invests in herself. And through that, she creates a life so powerful that when people see her, they don't just see a woman, they see a force. The world respects a woman who doesn't need to be saved. A woman who walks with confidence because she knows she is her own foundation, her own protection, her own empire. There is something mesmerizing about a woman who carries both fire and water within her. A woman who can be soft but never fragile, kind but never naive, loving but never desperate. The world tries to convince women that they must choose, either be gentle or be strong. But the truth is, the most powerful women are the ones who embrace both. A woman's softness is not her weakness, it is her greatest strength. There is unmatched power in a woman who can be tender yet untouchable. A woman who can love deeply yet never be taken for granted. A woman who can nurture yet never be controlled. The moment you master the balance between softness and strength, you become unstoppable. Think of water. It flows gently, shaping the land with grace. But under the right circumstances, that same water becomes a tidal wave, unstoppable in its force. That is how a high-value woman moves. She doesn't announce her power. She doesn't have to prove anything. She simply exists in her fullness and the world adjusts accordingly. Too often, people mistake kindness for weakness. They think that because you are soft-spoken, you can be silenced. Because you are caring, you can be used. Because you are patient, you can be taken for granted. But the moment they cross the line, they realize your softness is a choice, not a limitation. Imagine a woman in a business meeting, listening quietly as others speak over her. They assume she is timid, that she has nothing to say, but then when she finally speaks, her words command the room. Her silence was never a sign of fear, it was a sign of control. She was observing, strategizing, waiting for the moment that truly mattered. And when she spoke, she left no room for doubt. She was in charge. That is how you must carry yourself. Be warm, be compassionate, be kind, but never let them forget that you are also capable, that you are fierce, that you are nobody's fool. The most dangerous woman is not the one who shouts, but the one who doesn't need to. The one whose presence alone is enough to be respected. Look at the strongest women in history. Were they heartless? No. They loved, they nurtured, they cared for their people. But when the time came to fight, they fought, they protected their peace, they defended their dignity, they stood their ground. They understood that being a woman is not about choosing between love and power, it is about embodying both. The moment you learn to embrace your softness without letting it be mistaken for weakness, you elevate yourself beyond the reach of ordinary people. You become a woman who is hard to break, hard to manipulate, and impossible to diminish. You become a woman whose kindness is an asset, not a liability. Some will try to test you, they will push, just to see how far they can go. They will assume that because you forgive, you will tolerate disrespect. Because you give chances, you will accept betrayal. Because you care, you will endure mistreatment. That is when you remind them, you are soft, but you are not stupid. The moment you show people that you can walk away without hesitation, that is the moment they realize you are not to be played with. A high-value woman does not waste time proving her worth. She does not beg for love, for validation, for a seat at the table. She moves with quiet confidence because she knows she is the table. Look at the women who let the world break them. The ones who gave and gave, thinking their love alone would be enough to change people who had no intention of changing. The ones who thought that if they just held on a little longer, they would finally be appreciated. What happened? They were drained. They were discarded. They were left with nothing. Now look at the women who refused to be broken. The ones who loved, but never at the cost of themselves. The ones who walked away when respect was no longer on the table. The ones who were soft, but only to those who deserved it. Those women, they built empires. They found love that matched their energy. They lived lives filled with peace because they knew how to protect it. Be kind, but never be a doormat. Be gentle, but never be afraid to draw the line. Love deeply, but never lose yourself in the process. Because the truth is, when a woman understands the power of her softness and knows exactly when to be firm, she becomes the kind of woman that no one dares to underestimate. There comes a moment in life when words become useless. When explanations, arguments, and desperate attempts to be understood no longer serve a purpose. That moment is when a high-value woman chooses silence. Because silence is not just the absence of words, it is a declaration of self-respect. It is a weapon stronger than any argument, sharper than any insult, and more unforgettable than any goodbye. When you walk away in silence, you leave behind a mystery that haunts the people who took you for granted. They expect you to react. They want you to beg, to plead, to explain yourself. But when you give them nothing, that is when they feel your absence the most. Imagine this. A woman is in a relationship where she is constantly being disrespected. She has argued, she has cried, she has tried to make him understand, but nothing changes. And then one day, without warning, she stops. She doesn't argue. She doesn't text long paragraphs. She doesn't demand an explanation. She just disappears. That silence is deafening. The man is left wondering, what happened? Where did she go? Why isn't she fighting anymore? He checks his phone, expecting a message that never comes. He realizes that for the first time, she is truly gone. A woman's greatest power is not in the words she speaks. It is in the words she chooses not to say. Because when a woman walks away without a sound, she forces the world to reflect on what it lost. People think strength is in confrontation, but true strength is in knowing when to leave. When a queen exits a room, she does not announce it. She simply leaves, and the absence of her presence is felt in every corner. Think about the workplace. A woman works tirelessly, going above and beyond, always reliable. She puts in extra hours, picks up extra tasks, and never complains. But her efforts go unnoticed. She